Hey guys, I today want to talk to you about something vulnerable for me, something that has come up for a lot of my clients and something that's likely going to come up for you. So I want to bring it out into the air to tell you a little bit of a story so that it puts it in perspective so that you know that this isn't just you. So when I started my business, I had really blown up my life at first, and I was going to therapy every single week for a year, every Saturday mornings. And I used to say to my therapist at the time, I don't know why, but I just really don't want to drink anymore. And I feel weird, I feel like that's wrong, all my friends are still wanting to party and drink, and I just don't. Now, what was happening was that I was going to a different stage of my life. I was following a calling. At the time when I went to therapy, I went because people would say that they loved me, people would say that they liked to hang out with me, and I used to call it the Houdini act. Whenever I was out, I would just leave because I didn't feel like anyone really wanted me to be there anymore. Turns out I was wrong, and this comes full circle as of last night. I was going to do a different episode today, but I felt like this was what I should talk about because it happened just last night. So I went to therapy every week, every Saturday morning. So I stopped partying because it was expensive and I was paying for it myself, and I didn't want to be hungover if I was going to be paying so much money to go to therapy. So I went because I felt like no one ever loved me, including my parents. And through therapy, I realized that that is a story I told myself. That is something I had created, an identity that nobody loves me, everybody hates me. And I used to sing the song, "I'm going to the garden to eat worms," if anyone knows that song. And so what happened is that became my identity, that no one loved me, nobody cared about me, everywhere I went, nobody cared if I was there. What I learned was that it was actually something that was happening within me. When you don't love yourself, it's really hard to know what love from other people feels like, because I didn't know what it felt like in my own body. If you love yourself, you know what love feels like in your body. So when I started to discover and start to learn about myself and my body, I learned what it felt like when other people loved you and wanted you to be there and cared about you. From there, I started my business. When I was learning about my mindset, when I was learning about the stories we tell ourselves, when I learned about the power of talk therapy or from coaching to help people move forward with their life, I was like, wow, this is like magic. How can I get into this? Plus, I had always been one of those people who liked to ask questions. So a lot of my friends and family knew, like, I was always there for them. I would always ask them questions, but they didn't necessarily know what was happening for me on the inside or how I felt, because I wasn't as open to sharing that with people. What I learned through Brene Brown, if you guys haven't seen her TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability, is that when we share our truth, when we share the things that we feel inside that we're embarrassed about or that we feel like we shouldn't say or share, that's actually what connects us. So when I share a vulnerable story and you feel like you felt that or have experienced that, you're going to feel more connected to me, which is why I share vulnerable stories. It's in service of other people. It also helps people feel less alone. It helps people feel more connected to me, so it helps me feel less alone. And you realize that it's not just you, it's everyone that's feeling that way. So when I was learning all this stuff, I really wanted to share that. I really wanted to share that with other people. I wanted to help people get to that stage. I wanted to help people do what I had done and come from where I was coming from. So I started my coaching certification, blah, 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 started my business. But somewhere along the way, you're doing something that's so different from other people that it kind of alienates you. Nobody knows what it feels like to start a business if you don't have any friends that do. It's also that our friends don't know how to support us or ask questions or be there for us. Because one, we're likely coming out less, because if you're working full time, you're building your business on the weekends and the evenings, when those were the times when I would party with my friends. One, I couldn't drink, couldn't be hungover because I needed that time to build my business. And I didn't really want to drink anymore because I was enjoying the things I was doing for my business. So along the way, I really stopped hanging out with my friends. And I hear this a lot from my clients. I hear them talk about how they have lost their friends, or they feel like they don't get them anymore, or they don't support them, or they ask questions that are kind of hurtful, or they don't they think, isn't this risky? Or what are you doing? Like, you're never coming out anymore. And so I experienced that 100%. One, I wasn't drinking. Two, I was building my business. So my best friend had moved to LA and she came home a couple of months ago in April, and I was like, it's weird. I haven't seen these people in a year. I hadn't seen them since my friend's wedding. And then it was coming to me that, yeah, like, I don't talk to them. They don't know anything about me. I don't know anything about them. And I already have social anxiety. So having that put on top of it, that like, actually I haven't spoken to these people in so long, was just like too much. And so I had two choices. One, I could stop talking to them entirely forever. Or two, I could try to show up more and build those friendships back up. Last night, I went to my best friend's birthday. He's a guy. I lived with him in university, and we used to be like super, super, super duper tight. And we had a discussion about how frustrating it was that I didn't show up. And it's interesting because I was thinking to myself that I don't get invited anymore. That no one ever invites me out, that, you know, I'm not really friends with those people anymore, they forget about me, they don't care about me. Kind of going back to that whole why I went to therapy. They were frustrated because I wasn't coming out, because I was building my business, because I felt like nobody understood me, because I felt like, you know, nobody cared, nobody would notice if I wasn't there. And in fact, they did notice, and I just didn't know it. So I was telling myself this story that nobody cares about me, nobody likes me, nobody wants me there, and like, who cares if I'm not there? Well, my friends were getting frustrated that they would ask and be rejected every time, because every single time I would say, yes, I'll show up, and then I wouldn't show up. Or I would say, no, I can't, and like every single time that's rejection upon rejection upon rejection. Nobody likes to be rejected. I was realizing that, you know what, I was the one that was mistaken. Now, yes, I did have to build my business. Yes, I did feel like nobody really understood me. However, I didn't really give them an opportunity to. I didn't give them an opportunity to ask questions because like they didn't know how to support me and I didn't help them. So sometimes you can help your friends, you can help your family. No, what can they ask? When your friend is in need, if somebody passes away or if they're going through a tough time, like you can ask them, same thing when you're building your business, how do you want to be approached? How do you want someone to ask you questions about it? Like, what would feel good for you? What would make you feel heard and seen and supported? Because it's not necessarily that they mean it. Same thing I've talked about with family, and I'll talk more about it on another episode, about how, you know, our family, when they're concerned about us, are just saying, I love you. Same thing with our friends. It's like they want to support us, they want to be there for us, but if we don't give them an opportunity to, it's very difficult for them to support us. So if you are struggling to hold on to your friendships while building your business, one, know that speaking your truth is going to help them understand. It's going to give them an opportunity to know it's not them and that you're not rejecting them. It's also really important, and this is something I wish I had done better, is that taking at least one day not to work. One day to go out with your friends. I use that as Saturday. I don't work, I don't answer emails, I don't answer my phone really, and I spend time with friends. That's it. Just friends. I don't do anything like it. It's not like a day I do errands or anything like that. Use a different day for errands. But spend one day actually having fun with your friends. Give them an opportunity to be there and support you. Because now I'm building that back up, but I mean, I didn't know that that's how they felt on the other end of that. I just felt like, oh, nobody cares about me, nobody likes me, nobody even notices if I'm not there. And know that that's not the truth. I found that out this week, and I kind of wanted to share that with you guys so that you know that your friends do care about you. They want to be there for you. And even if they're saying things that don't feel supportive, speaking that to them. Being assertive about, like, that doesn't make me feel supported. That actually makes me feel judged. Or I'm not rejecting you by not coming out. I really have to do this stuff for my business so that I can grow it. And know that even if you do make some mistakes, like, they're your friends. It's not going to change, like, if you come back to them and say to them, I'm here, I'm sorry, I'll do better, I promise. Like, we talked about how I promise to show up. If I say I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up. And it's a little bit easier now that my business is at a different stage, but had I spoken that instead of just feeling rejected or just rejecting them, then it might have been different. And I think that it's important because we all go through that stuff with our friends. It's hard to balance it all. Eventually we have to give up something. We have to either give up, you know, a little bit of social time, or we have to give up a little bit of working out, because I'll do an episode on that, because that's definitely another one of the behind the scenes of the boss life. Know that your friends love you, they want to support you, they want to be there for you, so let them in. Spend some time, at least one day a week, doing something with them, spending time with your friends so that you're not having a business and not having any friends. Because like, let's be honest, that's no fun. We all want and need our friends and our family. So do what you can to keep those relationships solid, to bring them into the things that are happening with you, even if it's hard at the beginning. Even if you feel like they don't get it because they are not in that. They've never experienced that and they need you to help them understand. So share vulnerably with them. That's the thing that's going to connect you. That's the thing that's going to make them feel connected to you. And know that this too shall pass. This period where you're having to trade more of your social time for your business, that will balance itself out. I don't really believe in like work-life balance or like a balanced life, but you can trade things off. Sometimes you're more into one thing and more into the other. So make sure that you do come back to it. Make sure you don't let them feel rejected and that you do share vulnerably with them, because the power of vulnerability is what's really going to connect you with them. And I'll see you guys on the next episode.